Good morning. It's Friday, April 21st. And yesterday, Supreme Court Justice Sam Alito temporarily extended a hold on a lower court ruling that would have imposed restrictions on access to an abortion drug. A move that would give the justices more time to consider the issue and set a Friday night deadline. So this is the second deadline change that the Supreme Court has made with respect to banning mifepristone, which is the primary abortion methodology used nowadays. Over 50% of the abortions that are done in the United States are done by using the drug, mifepristone. So this is a decision that weighs heavily on the Supreme Court, and that's why they have been delaying it. So we should look at that for a while and think about why this delay is. Maybe they recognize the fact that they have been making a mistake all this time with the abortion bans. And maybe they're not happy with the way that certain states in this country have taken advantage of the situation and put in ridiculous abortion laws, like a 6-week termination period, which is not enough time to even recognize the fact that you're pregnant half the time. So maybe the Supreme Court is taking a second look at this, a more serious look. A look at this without their own religious persuasions interfering with their thinking. Who knows what's really going on in the court? It's all supposition on my part, but it has to mean something because I haven't seen the Supreme Court delay decisions on things like this very often, let alone delay it 3 or 4 times. And then, of course, when you've got some arch-conservatives on the court, and saying that they're an arch-conservative means that they're really over the line because the regular conservatives are a little bit more lenient. But it was Samuel Alito, one of the top conservatives on the court, that made these announcements and that wrote something that designates, that indicates, that helps the public understand what the court is trying to do. But I don't know that it helps that much at all. And I don't know what's really going to happen. I don't know that the court is going to come and back down from their decisions, but maybe they are. Maybe the pressure that has been put on society is too much for the court to take credit for. And maybe they recognize that these decisions that they have made, while they're fighting for some people's lives, they are not considering the lives of the women that are involved in these decisions. Maybe the rights of women have come to the surface in some way, shape, or form. After all, you're dealing with 2 lives here, the prospective mother and the child. And maybe if the mothers don't feel that they're ready for this, for whatever reason, financial, psychologically, or worse, is it good to bring a child into the world if you're not equipped properly to give them what they need to live a good life? I think not. So there's an awful lot that goes into a decision with respect to abortion. And I don't know that the justices really take that much time considering all the alternatives, all the possibilities. So I can't guess at what the real decision of the court is going to be. This new order, which is called an administrative stay, simply moves the deadline to this evening. And the order was written by Alito because he has jurisdiction over the lower court that ruled the dispute. I did not know that Supreme Court justices had jurisdiction over lower courts, but that's beside the point. So today's order tells us nothing about how the Supreme Court is going to rule, other than that it's likely there will be some kind of writing, whether by the majority or by justices who might be writing separate concurrences or dissents, right? Maybe they just need time to frame their response to this situation in a way that the public will be on their side, because 60 or 70% of the public is not on the side of this Supreme Court. But it's impossible to know which way the ruling is really going to go. All we know for sure is that by the end of the evening on Friday we'll know something. I don't know if that's for sure at all. They could delay again, but then they would look like a bunch of assholes. Right? They can't make their minds up. If there's still strong friction within the court, maybe that's part of the problem. Maybe some of the justices are not sure they really want to go one way or the other. This case is the most important abortion-related dispute to reach the High Court since the justices overturned Roe versus Wade. They're messing with abortion practices that are readily available to those states that want to use them in the United States. This affects over 50% of the population, and that's a lot when you consider the whole thing. And I think the justices were really, really upset by the fact that these conservative states took their decisions to mean that they're going to stop abortions any way, shape, or form. And so maybe the court is having misgivings about giving that information, giving that status to the states, because they readily ran to abuse it. It's an abuse when you put in a 6-week abortion limit, because that's not really enough time for anybody to make a decision, and half the people don't even know they're pregnant at that point in time. And another thing, this case is based upon some phony information that was gathered by a group of anti-abortionists who claimed that the drug mifepristone, which has been in use for over 20 years, is a faulty drug. It didn't pass all the requirements that the FDA should have put on it. These are blatant lies that caused this whole issue to come before the court in the first place. And the reason it came before the court is because these people who dreamed up this excuse went to a judge in Texas who was a known anti-abortionist, a known right-wing guy from Amarillo. So they go to him because they know exactly how he's going to rule. And they claim all of these things about the FDA. Now, the FDA is a major organization in this country, and it should not be tampered with. Yes, I admit the FDA takes a long time to do certain things when they shouldn't, but that's caution on their part, and that's to their credit that they come up correctly all the time, and that most of this country is healthy because of the work of the FDA. So to have a group of anti-abortionists find a lone justice in Amarillo, Texas, to rule against the use of mifepristone is ridiculous. And based upon that alone, based upon the lies that brought this thing before the Supreme Court, they should not even enter anything into it. They should say this law is going to be in place, and mifepristone is the way to get an abortion in this country. So I'll leave you with that this morning. Another case of lying that has caused great turmoil in our nation. Have a great day. Bye.